Dr. Suarez Winter will now speak to us about the nutrition content of our dish that we just created.
Absolutely. So as you can see, this has been a plant-based dish. It's mostly vegan, no animal products in there. So we started out with our base of veggie pasta, which again, it's egg-free, so it's plant-based. We also have an array of fresh fruits and fresh vegetables yeah. And lots of herbs and spices that are also fresh. You know, powdered seasonings, a very small amount of salt, and as you know, that is what we are really interested in heart health, to make sure that we have a very low sodium dish. We also, if you notice that they rinsed the canned peas, and what that will do is definitely remove most of the sodium, because most canned peas would be stored in a brine. Mm-hmm. And as you know, that is definitely where most of our salt comes from. And we also did a saute. So a saute in a small amount of oil, so that also cuts down on the oil. But we also did your coconut milk. Now, even though coconut milk is relatively high in saturated fat, it's a much better option than the coconut cream, which would be very high in fats and high in saturated fats. And we also adjusted it by adding a salt-free vegetable broth, right? So that's also plant-based. And so
the coconut milk would also be better than, say, heavy cream.
And definitely. So yes, and if you want your recipe thick, so that's why we would make sure to reduce it. But some of the starch in the veggie pasta would help to thicken your recipe. And we, instead of cheese, which is what most people would put with pasta, we've actually used pumpkin. Now, this is a dish that you can actually use any of your vegetables. So you could have used even our green bananas. We could have used a mix of tomatoes, lots of sweet pepper, and yes, Minister, you did mention the colors. So the reason why we like to recommend using a lot of variety of fruits and vegetables and different colors is because each of these comes with its own set of nutrients and vitamins. So when you put it together, you have a nice mix of vitamins and minerals. And so you have a very healthy plant-based dish. It's relatively high in fiber because of all the peas and beans. The peas and beans are also a good source of protein. Yeah. And in this recipe, we have actually used gungo peas or pigeon peas, which is one of the higher protein sources of peas and beans. But you could essentially use your favorite peas or beans that you wanted. And I think the next thing was that we have a dish that it's nutritionally balanced, so it has the right amount of protein, carbs, and fats, and very low in saturated fats, because as again, we've used the coconut milk rather than the coconut cream. All right, and yes, the calories work out to about 350 calories per serving, so that's equivalent to maybe a small meal. So for two people, if you wanted, you could actually make it just 2 servings, and that would be like a whole meal. And it's nutritionally balanced, as I said, because you're getting calories from the protein, fats, and carbohydrates.
And you can store in the fridge.
You absolutely would be able to store this. So for pasta, you can probably store it in an airtight container for about 2 or 3 days. And because you're not using any animal products, then it will be also healthy. And if you notice, we've topped it off with our favorite at Heart Foundation, which is our infused water.
Mine is almost finished.
Yes, and the best thing about this, apart from it being low sugar and low calorie, is you can actually freeze the vegetable, freeze the fruits, or anything that you want. So it can be your flavor choice that you want. But you'd freeze these, so it actually acts as an ice cube. And the best thing about it is that you can eat the fruit after.
Of course.
All right, and yes, just like the salad is mimicking the same thing about the combination. So having a salad that's lots of combination. This salad here is probably just maybe about 30 or 40 calories, right? For that quantity. Now this would probably be for more 2 or 3 people based on a serving. But the reality is that you get very few calories, and it helps to fill you up.
I was about to say, I've always heard that you have your vegetables first, because it reduces the need to probably consume more. Is that accurate?
You don't have to have it first. I mean, culturally, there are some countries that do have vegetables first, but if
right.
you have it with the meal, because the reality is you spend maybe, it forces you to chew a little longer.
Right. So
And
it
if you take
satisfies
longer
the-
to eat, then your stomach gets full,
Right.
and it sends that signal to the brain to say, I'm no longer
On
hungry.
everything else, yeah. Okay.
Right, but having that combination, and yes, the benefits of fiber is the amount of fiber that you get.
And the reason why it's important because some restaurants you go, the first thing they give you is a bread and butter.
Yes.
Right.
And if you go for the bread and butter, then you end up having
You feel full.
exactly, but
Absolutely.
not necessarily the right thing.
Absolutely, because the
Right.
bread would actually be more like your starch and your
Exactly,
carbohydrate, and it's
exactly.
refined. But unlike the veggie pasta, the bread is not made with vegetables, and so you really want to make sure that you have some salad with your meal, or fruits. And here in this meal we have a fruit serving with our water. We have lots of vegetables, and you don't want to scrimp on this, so how much ever you want of this. And then you have a complete meal because it has your protein, your carb, your fat, and it's relatively low in saturated fats, which is what we want for heart health. Saturated fats and the salt. All right, so
Well, there you go. Thank you very much,
Wonderful.
Doc. We're very, very happy for the information and hope that those listening online or otherwise will take note because it's about the heart, right?
it's all about the heart.
Yeah.
All right, so thank you guys for coming into my kitchen today, and you did a very good job cooking. So we have a really delicious heart-friendly meal here, low sodium, lots of flavor, and thank you for all the nutritional information, Doc. It was really good. And for everyone at home, just remember, cook heart-friendly dishes. We need our heart. That's one thing we cannot live without. So just keep cooking with flavors, fresh, healthy. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you for having us. Really appreciate it.